and welcome to the 100th episode of the Total Focus podcast. I'm your host, Paul. I have decided to do a panel show for my 100th episode, and I have three people here that I think are incredible. They're all past guests, and I think that everyone are going to really enjoy this really round robin discussion. So I have a former Miss Maryland, Adriana. I have a former Miss West Virginia, Andrea, and I have a second place Miss New York this year. Melissa is here. Welcome, all the ladies. Congratulations on all your success, and thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank
Excited to be
you.
here.
Thanks for having us.
Yep. So, all right. So our first topic, let's start off with a banger. Okay. So for this episode, then just interviewing, because everyone has been interviewed by me. The topic will be two topics. So the first topic we're going to go with is how important is it to be part of a system that has won a national title, or what role does it play in, or what thought that plays into a system that has a director that has never won? And does that have any role in it, or when you have years of not performing well at nationals, does that play any role? Does at the looking back at your career now that some of you guys are coaching people and sometimes you're thinking about this, does working with a director that actually has experience winning a national title at a high level really make a difference?
I'll go ahead and start. Hi, I'm Adriana, former Miss Maryland USA and Miss Maryland in America. In the USA system, Maryland historically has done pretty well. They've had a lot of top five at Miss USA. And we have one, Nana Merriweather. She became Miss USA after Olivia Culpo became Miss Universe. And then on the America side, we've also had a lot of semifinalists. I know Hannah Brewer was like in the top five a couple years before me, but I don't really know if it's not supposed to affect your your outcome. I know every single pageant in the USA and America system, they claim to have, no taboo, no close ties. It is supposed to be fair and square. But what I realized is that what really made it a better experience for me is how involved your director wants to be in your process. And that can either help or hinder you, because sometimes they're a little bit too controlling and then sometimes they're not controlling enough, or it seems like they're not doing enough for you. So I think it kind of really goes down to how you can manage your relationship with said boss for the year. And you kind of just have to make it as best as you can, make the most of what you're given. And if you don't have that much given to you, then you have the opportunity to kind of make it better for yourself.
Adriana, I guess I wanna approach it this way: if a professional coach continues to have losing seasons, is that necessarily the team you want to be on, or do you? I mean, you kind of were.
Well,
I mean, that's what I was looking at, because that's, you know, the reason why people
I
go to the Yankees is because they breed winners, right? I mean, that's
sure.
and then Baffler, the gentleman who does all the horse racing, he predominantly wins horse racing. He has like 12 of one of the 12 of the three major race horses, which is a lot for horse racing. So I've noticed that there are some states where it seems like they do their best, but they don't have any hope of winning. Is that not fair to say?
I mean, I don't want to say that it's different because you can't really change where you're from unless you have the means to, move out of, I guess if I would have had the means, and it's also interesting because we're all young women. We're not necessarily like developed in our careers to be in these financial places to be able to like up and move to a better state. I know New York, historically has had so many winners, but New York also gets a lot of transplants for college students. So it kind of, you can't blame them almost because a lot of people fled to New York for their job or for their college, and they tend to be, super qualified. But I I love being from Maryland. I'm very proud to represent my state, and I love being closer to the DC area because I got, both the Baltimore and DC experience. But I think it's just not really comparable to an actual sport because you're also looking at a team of however many players. I mean, I guess the race horse would be a little bit closer, but that's also an animal that you can train and they don't have opinions. Pageants are so subjective to the panel of judges and to where you're from. I know a lot of girls, and USA does offer now to compete in multiple states if you can claim residency, but they didn't do that when I was there, so I didn't have that option. I don't know. I don't want to discourage anyone that their state is less likely to win. It's really all about the girl and who she is and her platform and what she brings to the table.
Fair
So,
enough.
as part of a group and from a state that hasn't had a lot of success at Miss USA, I feel like who the director is and the rules and the boundaries and the professionalism and kind of just like the whole experience that you have with your director and the relationship you have with them does really shape how well you're going to do at Miss USA. I know my year, Pageant Associates, which is what West Virginia was under, had 5 states. It was West Virginia, Indiana, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, and Vermont. And none of us placed at Miss USA that year. The following year, I want to say only Connecticut placed. Then it just lately in the past 5 years, Pageant Associates has not done very well. And when I reflect back on my experience, and I won West Virginia USA on my first try, so I was incredibly green to the USA system. When I did win, I I leaned a lot on my director because I felt like since he had been in the business for so many years and had 2 past Miss USA winners with Erin Brady and I forget who, but it was a Miss New York USA who had won, and I'm blanking on her name right now, but it's been a long day. Just I was like, okay, well, he's had success in the past. I'm just gonna trust him fully with the process. And looking back, I wish I hadn't done that. And I think it doesn't matter how successful your director has been recently or in the past. If you don't trust yourself and you're not making decisions for yourself, you're never gonna be able to win in a way that you'd want to win or succeed in a way that you might have been able to succeed had you just trusted yourself. So coming from my experience, I don't really think it matters. I think it just matters how you personally handle these relationships and make sure that you make your own decisions that are going to fit the way you want to do your year, if that makes sense. So
I mean, I
those are
think
my
that make
2 cents
no, I think that
coming from
totally
what.
makes sense. And I want to make it known because we all have friends in the industry. I'm just trying to for people that are trying to pick a system and everything. I guess you guys' opinion is that really doesn't play a factor in it because that's what I'm is that the overall.
I mean, I will say that USA is very keen on spotlighting the girls that are potentially going to be in the semifinalists on the day of the telecast. And you do kind of witness some girls being favored throughout the year, whether it's with certain sponsors or if they kind of get chosen to do for example, for me, I've been working in the entertainment industry since high school as an actor and a model, and I was sort of one of the ones that got every single commercial, every single thing, and I was one of the ones that didn't make top 15 still. And so you kind of have this. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to say it's rigged. It's not rigged, but they kind of pick these packages to display on the
I
national
wasn't even going down
telecast.
that route. I wasn't even going down that route. I was thinking do you feel that if you had a choice, if you had a dual residency, let's say that you were between Georgia and Florida, you were on that middle ground, would you pick the state that has better chances of winning, or it doesn't matter? I guess from the short conversation, you guys are saying that it really doesn't matter because it's really a toss up. Is that the fair way?
Yeah, that I think it's always a toss up. I think,
Yeah.
yeah.
What do you think,
I
Marissa?
also think oh,
Oh, I mean, I definitely agree. I think that it comes down to the woman who's competing and whether or not she's ready for the job. And also, if you're, let's say, between, Georgia and Florida, you should also just choose the state that you have individually the best chance of winning. Maybe there's, fewer candidates in one state. But I think that when we look at which team you're going to pick, there are like there are just more resources in certain states, and I think that that is kind of where some of the difference comes from. But I don't think that resources and sponsors necessarily make or break your opportunity to succeed in a pageant. But I would say that, yeah, like there are certain local programs in Miss America that just like are well funded. Like the Staten Island program in New York is like super well funded. You know, they get a lot of sponsors and they get a lot of things. And some years they do well and some years they don't. You know, the Miss Greater New York competition that I did and won, like I a brand new program and I placed third at the competition. So I think it really just kind of depends. And yeah, I would definitely agree with the other women. There's going to be good advice and there's going to be very bad advice that you're going to get as well. And it's kind of up to you to discern what you're going to listen to, and that's going to make all the difference.
Yeah,
And just to agree with Marissa, I think like if I wanted to go to Miss USA and I had the option between competing in Vermont, where they historically don't have that many contestants, and New York, I would compete in Vermont if I had the chance, because if my goal is to get to Miss USA and I know I can prepare myself in my own way and I know what I'm getting into, then I'm going to pick the one option that's going to get me to that goal the quickest.
All right, so you brought up a good topic there. So I just want to have the short little offshoot of that. Does the panel agree that the philosophy that iron sharp, the more talent the field is, the better you are, the more you're prepared for nationals or states? Like it's a competition thing, or because pageants are not necessarily that way. That's not a good analogy. Because I do agree with Andrea that if you can basically bypass and get into USA easier because it's a smaller field, that sounds great. But what if the competition's not as fierce? So then you're not as prepared. What does everyone think?
So I was just saying that based off the question that Paul just asked, I don't think it really matters, because when you look at like huge states that have hundreds of contestants compete at their state pageants, like California or Texas or New York, and how many times those girls don't make the top 15, but yet you have smaller states like Rhode Island or Vermont or Delaware, or, these like tiny little states that have 10 people do their pageant. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. And I think Miss USA, and I'm sure, Miss America and other systems are very similar in this, it's such a total crapshoot. Like, you just don't know who's going to be competing. You don't know who's going to be, who's going to have a good day, who's going to have a bad day. Like maybe, California had food poisoning the day before her interview, and then someone else is like having the best day of their lives and nails their interview, and you just never know. So I don't think it matters necessarily. So.
And Adrian, do you have anything to add to that?
I think something like looking back if you are a pageant competitor, and I was so green that I just Googled pageants. I didn't win on my first try, but I got second runner up, and then I went back the next year. And even then, I was still only 23 years old in a USA system that goes until you can be 28 years old. And if I had done more research on pageants, I probably should have done America first, and kind of put my time in with America. I also was very nonprofit focused with Charities Angels, our nonprofit. So, but I think educating yourself in each system is probably, if you want to, try to capitalize on both, which I didn't even know I wanted to. I thought I had aged out of America, but then they extended the age. So that's why I went back and competed again. And so I was just kind of given the grace by God, I think, to be able to compete in both. But there are rules and eligibility and guidelines in place that if you did want to do multiple systems, I think any competitor should kind of compare and see where they see fit, because also they're all totally different in nature, and that's why there are separate pageants in general.
I just wanted to take one extra second and talk about our sponsor of the week, Mid-Atlantic Video and Photography Production. No matter if you're planning a wedding and you need a wedding videographer, you're doing a music video, or you're doing a commercial, they are the team to get the job done. You can reach out to them at 443-422-3830. Again, that's 443-422-3830. Or you can go right to their website at mavpp.com. Now let's get right back to this great interview. Marissa, before we move on, do you have anything to comment?
No, I mean, I think that I mean, they make a good point. You know, people are having good and bad days when they're in pageants, and you know, some people have the stamina for a state week or a nationals week, and some people don't, and it just kind of depends. But yeah, I mean, I guess like to your point, it's you know, there are better odds of you winning, I guess, if you have beat 200 people versus 8. But yeah, I think it really depends on the girl and who the judges are that day and what they're really looking for, and that can change from state to state and from, you know, country to country.
I think also it depends on what the girl wants, because some of these girls, like I competed with at Miss America, like their dream was just to be Miss State. Like they didn't even need to be Miss America. Like they were going for the scholarship money. They were there to put themselves through law school or med school, and like being Miss State was like their dream come true. Where others, they were so eyes focused on winning that national, getting that platform of influence, doing more than they possibly could. So it really depends on the girl too.
Well, I think we killed this topic. Kudos to the panel. Um, so in Clubhouse, guys, the way we clap is we tap the mic out icon. So congratulations, everyone. You know, we'll give you a little tap, 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 tap. For our listeners that are listening this as a pre-recorded, we're pre-recording this on Clubhouse. So I'm thinking that in the future we might have a couple episodes on Clubhouse. So I hope everyone really continues to listen to the Total Focus podcast. The Total Focus podcast is provided by Mid-Atlantic Video and Photography Productions. No matter if you need photos or videos, we are the team to get the job done. No matter if you need professional headshots, wedding videography, Mid-Atlantic Video and Photography Productions is the team to get the job done. So we're going to move on to our next topic, and we're going to talk about legacy. So I know Marissa is a newbie when it comes to getting to this point. I know I've been cheering her on. She just competed in Miss New York, and I'm so happy for her. She got second runner-up, and she's a real advocate for voting rights in New York. So congratulations on Marissa doing so well in New York. And
Thank you.
yeah. And I'm sure this is a question that might be a little too, jumping ahead, but I think you could look back on this as well, because I know you're working on your career as a lawyer. Now, to my other two colleagues, Andrea and Andrea, how do you see your legacy? And also, how does that work? Like, do you think that there should be some kind of legacy program? Do you think that you should have a legacy sash? Do you think that there should be always a dinner? Like, I understand that these are franchises and they're individually run, but should there be some kind of like, this is how things are run this way and everyone is treated that way? Or is that just too much to ask? Andrea or Adriana, whoever wants to go first.
I'll go first, but I feel like Adriana might have a little bit more to say on this since she has two titles. I, after my year, was so done. I don't know if anyone else felt this way, but I had just become like Miss USA was exhausting. I had done everything I wanted to do in my reign, and I was so ready because I would think I was like 24 years old to continue my career and my life and kind of put this behind me as like a beautiful chapter, but it's like done and dusted kind of thing. When I won Miss West Virginia USA, I was actually interning on Capitol Hill in DC for Tim Ryan. And then I had already secured an internship with Joe Manchin from West Virginia. And the plan when I had talked to his staffers was like I was going to intern, and then I was going to, whatever job opening would come up, like that would be my job and I would just take over that. So when I gave up my internship at Joe Manchin's office because Miss USA was just becoming, preparing for it and being Miss West Virginia USA was just a lot and I couldn't do both, I made the decision to step out of my interview or my internship and move back to West Virginia and fully focus on that with the possibility of just coming back afterwards. So when that was over, I was just like, I'm so ready to get back to DC, get back with my career. And as much as legacy, I think is very important, I also think it's important to know that there's so much life beyond the crown and there's so much more to live and experience and so many more higher mountains to climb than a title that I think the lessons you learn from pageantry are amazing, and I love going back every year, and it's like a big reunion and seeing everyone that I love, and being able to still cultivate these relationships that I formed throughout my reign. Um, but I'm actually super okay with there not being like any legacy of sorts, like a big dinner or more recognition or a sash, because I feel like I've lived it, I've done it, and I'm excited for a new girl to get to experience all that year entails.
I love your response, Andrea. I feel the same in so many ways. I also will say that though I feel the same in the way that like pageantry was a great 3 year experience for me, I definitely saw it as a stepping stone. I've never received backlash, but there are some states that really value that sisterhood. And I did find myself wondering in my preparation, like, why aren't other Miss Marylands like helping me out? Because you kind of see it, and it more happens in the southern states, I should say. They do really treat it more like a sorority, but also I don't know if I would want that because they're like kind of they all of the formers are kind of like preparing the one girl, and she may feel more pressure in that way. So I don't know, but I definitely did at times, kind of wish like, oh, and granted, my what is it called? I succeeded Christina Denny, and we've been so close, and she's awesome and amazing, and she did help me where she could. But I just sometimes wondered, like, oh, that is kind of cool that they all have, like a pin that they get and they wear when they return, or they kind of have like, I mean,
Hey,
I
but
don't think a
Adriana,
sash would be necessary, Paul. I feel like we're done with
no,
sashes, or
no,
I was
I
done
do
with
like the
sashes. I
pin
didn't need
idea.
another sash.
I do like the pin idea, but I was gonna
Yeah.
jump in and say, diamonds are only created by under immense amounts of pressure. So you know, maybe it's just the
Yes.
guy thing coming out, but like, pressure does make a diamond, and every woman is a diamond. So
For sure. And like in the America system, Oklahoma has one of the like, largest amount of title holders that have become Miss America, similar to New York. I think in USA, Texas has done, historically really well. And those states do have much more support financially from these giant sponsors that have been, supporting those pageants for X amount of years. And it is so much more of a reunion for all those girls. I think I don't know, maybe I'm just a small state in Maryland. In the America side, not many of the formers come back. It's very, I mean, I think that may have to do with some other underlying issues that maybe won't occur in the future, but they don't, on the America side, it's very, you're less likely to meet a former at those pageants. But then on the Maryland USA side, we're a part of DND, which is Rhode Island, New York, New Jersey, and Maryland. And that is more, I have always felt more of the sisterhood vibes with them. It's more of my speed kind of in terms of what I'm doing now, and that may facilitate why I have more of a connection with the USA side. But I don't. I think there were moments where I was a little bit jealous of some of the girls for having this support of a former sisterhood, and then they do like a brunch the day after or the day before finals. They do kind of stuff like that. I know in other states, but at the same time, like already on the America side, which one of our local directors she was a former Miss Maryland, and she started the Miss Maryland sorority. And it's not only for formers, it's for anyone that has competed in Miss Maryland America, which I love that idea. And she's just now starting to get the ball rolling. So I am involved in that. I do really support really encourage and support all competitors as I do some coaching as well myself. So it is nice to have that supportive network that understands the idea of collaboration, because I feel like in today's world, everybody kind of wants to be paid immediately at the jump, and not everyone has those resources. So I was just saying, it is nice. I do support and encourage still the prolonged sisterhood in the ways that I know a lot of girls don't always have the means to pay for these really expensive coaches. So I do make sure to stay involved in what seems to be a former forever Miss Maryland situation, just because I know I can help and I'm willing to give, because a lot of people aren't really willing to give a lot of their time. So, but my question was for Marissa, like in the New York, I actually work with the five boroughs, local director Chaz. We're longtime friends, but I was wondering if your local, or if you did Is there a New York kind of system in place now that I live there? I am just eager to know if you guys do have sort of a sorority or something.
We don't have a sorority to my knowledge, but also I love Chaz. I'm so glad that you've worked with his organization, and I'm sure you're thrilled for Sydney
I'm
for
so
becoming
happy
the
for
next Miss
them.
New York.
Yes.
It is awesome. It is awesome, and we go to the same law school, and I've known her. So she was so welcoming when I joined the Miss America and the Miss New York organizations last year. But yeah, we don't really have any sort of sorority or anything, and the formers don't have a pin or anything. And I think I don't know. I kind of find it. Um, I don't know, kind of fun to see that, the formers come up and, introduce themselves and whatever, and they just look like normal people. Like, I think, I don't know, that is kind of part of, the whole magic of it is that it's, a year of your life. And then after that, you're just like a strong woman in the world. And there's no need I think we can still recognize that, these women are, kind of blend into their societies, but still make incredible impacts, even if they're not carrying a title in any way. But I think it would be cool if we had some sort of sorority or something. But yeah, I mean, this is my first year competing in Miss America, and I just loved it, loved it, loved it. And I have 1 year left of eligibility for Miss New York, and I'm debating it. I'm thinking about it, and so we'll see what happens. I have to get to my full time job and see how that goes first.
Yes, I've encouraged her from Instagram to just try consider it, because you can always be a lawyer, but time keeps on ticking. But I completely understand Marissa's point. Sometimes life does need to start. So, but from my opinion, I think you would really enjoy being a part of the sisterhood. As you can tell, both Andrea and Andrea are incredible people, and I think they would definitely welcome you into the family. So
Yeah, I mean, I think the sisterhood would be amazing, and I'm obviously so interested in it. But yeah, I have my job coming up, and also there's financial considerations. This year the Miss New York only got $5,000 in scholarships, which is amazing, but still, $5,000 versus my big law attorney salary. I guess I just kind of have to weigh things and see if there was a way that I could do both. So we'll see.
yeah, I living in New York is a very interesting. So if you guys aren't already following Marissa is very open to her life. So she's currently shopping for an apartment. So it was interesting in finding going apartment shopping and seeing your story. So that was interesting, seeing how hard it is to just like find like an apartment that had a washer and dryer in it. So
Oh yeah, in New York it's like a unicorn. If you find one, I did find one today, but the rest of the apartment wasn't as great. So we'll keep seeing what goes on, but you got to find a few flops before you find the one.
Retweet.
yeah, exactly. So we have about an extra 10 minutes. So is Arius okay with the rest of the girls that we do one more question?
Surely.
Okay. So how important do you guys think it is that one or both major systems, meaning America and USA, have a national presence on national television and not on a third network like FYE or some kind of network that has very low engagement where you have to like buy through an internet service, or do you think that's really going to transition when a lot of things are going to go more online? And the one thing I would add is think about ad revenue. There's still a lot of ad revenue that comes through traditional television, and a lot of people still do consider it big time when you're on one of the four major networks, which I would consider the four major networks being Fox, NBC, ABC, CBS.
I've never really considered whether a pageant was on a major network as like a reason to compete at all, but I do know that a lot of people kind of expect it. Like even a lot of people expected like Miss New York to be on TV, and I was like, no, like it's just on a live stream. So I think people like watching it, and I think people have also shown their willingness to pay for it on some other sort of platform. And so I'm not super tied to it being on a major network.
Yeah, neither am I. I think like one of the pros, there's pros and cons to it. Obviously, I think one of the pros of it being on a national network is that more people will watch it. Um, and maybe you'll get more people wanting to compete. But then again, we're in this like, I feel like this transition that COVID really sped up where people don't really have cable anymore. They just have streaming services. Like I know I decided to just like cut cable because I already had Netflix and Hulu and Amazon Prime and HBO Max and Disney Plus. So it was sort of just like, why am I paying for all these channels when I go and watch TV, I just hit Netflix or like another streaming service. So I think it's good that it's on a streaming service, but then again, I can see why it would get more attention perhaps if it was like on Fox or NBC or CBS or ABC or like a bigger news channel that has more weight to it. Um, but I think there's pros and cons to it.
I was fortunate to have both of my experience on major networks. For USA, it was on Fox, and for America, it was on ABC. Right, Paul?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. It
If
was
it
on
wasn't
ABC.
ABC, it was NBC. So
It was ABC then, because I know it wasn't NBC. But I think at the time, like thinking about it now and hearing the other girls' responses, streaming was just not as big in 2017 as it is, or not. It existed, but it wasn't as common for people to, go or have many, like people either only had Netflix or they only had Hulu, kind of like, it's not even that long ago, but it was less of a thing. And I know the next year when they kind of switched from that, everyone was very upset by it. And many people were, especially the competitors, were like, what, like it's traditionally on these major networks. This is what I always dreamed of being on it. Or even the location, like once Miss America was kind of moved out of Atlantic City, and then when USA was like not really in Vegas as often, I luckily got the traditional, I guess, experience. But for me, honestly, I wouldn't have known any better because I was so new and green to the industry. In general, I was grateful to go wherever and be on whatever channel. But looking back, I mean, I am grateful that I did have those, real national experiences, because it did provide sort of like that legitimacy to the experience for me. And I did feel like, even though not all of my family or friends could be there, they were able to watch it no matter what, because even like, they could play it on at restaurants. Like a lot of people have little like watch parties, and they could do it in somewhere public that had cable. I don't really know if I think it's better or worse now. I think, yes, like the other women said, people are willing to pay to see these sorts of things, which kind of reminds me, like my dad, pays to watch the fight or whatever on MMA or whatever. But I just feel like we have such a smaller niche industry that I do hope for it to be broadcast nationally again, because I do think that would bring in more revenue for the nonprofit side of Miss America, as well as the profit side for Miss Universe organization. It's just so interesting to me still that our country, United States of America, is so minute in the actual grand scheme of pageantry worldwide. Like in other countries, pageants are like football, and we are kind of losing that in this country, which I do think is a little bit saddening. And I would hope for progress in that area, whether or not it has to be on a major network or what, even if they could just have an agreement with maybe YouTube, or maybe just a more common platform, I think would be the best situation.
and my only comment back would be, would you guys be okay with having a smaller set and a smaller overall budget for the production if it means that it would be online or be on a smaller network? Because that's usually what entails when you are on a smaller network, you have a smaller budget. So would you guys be okay with that, or would that not set right? Like, do you have expectations that on a national level, USA and Universe and America needs to look a certain way? I just wanted to take 1 second from this great interview and talk about our sponsor of the week, Mid-Atlantic Video and Photography Productions. No matter if you're planning a wedding, a special event, or you just need an amazing headshot, they are the team to get the job done. You can reach out to them at 443-422-3830. Again, that's 443-422-3830. Or you can just go right to their website at mavpp.com. Now let's get right back to the show and listen to this great interview.
I don't know. I mean, like I said, I work in the entertainment industry, so I am all about the lights, the camera, the action. I definitely, I would hate to sacrifice that ginormous LED screen or a catwalk. I know in my I kind of had a unique experience because the year I did USA was when IMG took over from Trump, and then the year I did America was the whole Me Too movement. Gretchen Carlson, they took away swimsuit. So a lot of the competitors on both national experiences that I have were very upset to begin with the changes that were being made, and seemingly we weren't getting the changes as we were having changes made, like the day before finals, and so the red carpet thing was a huge debacle for America, like whether or not to actually have a red carpet on the stage. People thought it was weird. People thought we would trip. It was just like, it was sort of just like everybody had massive anxiety just because of the changes undergoing within the whole organization. But I personally, that's my favorite part. I think it's very, it's also very nice to have, images by Getty Images from my experience to legitimize my career. But that being said, not everybody goes into entertainment. A lot of these women are, the girl next door, doing STEM, doing law, medicine, all these things that my experience is only my experience, is
Right.
basically what I'm
Well,
saying.
Marissa's a perfect example. Marissa's going to go on to be a great lawyer. So, and Andrea is currently helping refugees with her job. So, there are wonderful people in every field. My only concern is I feel that this is the one aspect in the America specifically that is a women-only sport, and um, I really think that pageantry is a sport, and I think that all the other sports are really geared specifically first for men. Like there is a women's basketball league, but it's dominated by men's basketball, and then there isn't a men's pageantry. I mean, there is, but it started with women pageantry. So, I think it's really important that we cultivate that. I assume everyone on stage here agrees with that sentiment.
Yeah, definitely. I have the bruises to prove it that it's a sport from this past week at state.
Well, I really appreciate you guys. I'm so excited. This is a long effort personally for myself to get up to 100 interviews, and all three of you have spent an hour plus spending time interviewing me, and I've had the opportunity to speak with you one-on-one. Marissa's episode's coming up shortly, so by the time this comes out, Marissa's episode will be out.
Woohoo.
Yep.
Yay.
I'm really excited for 101, 102, episode 200, and I really appreciate every single one of you ladies, and if there's anything I can do to help you with your journeys in life, we're always here for you, and I hope that the time that we spend together is just a good way to just spread the positive words, and if we can help another young lady that wants to become a model or a lawyer or help refugees, then that's exactly what we aim to do here. So any parting words from the panel?
Just thank you for having us. This was awesome. And it was so nice to meet everybody.
Ditto. Thanks for having us. Great to meet Adriana and Marissa.
I agree. It's so nice to, I mean, I don't even know what ethnicity y'all are, but I'm Mexican and Lebanese, and seemingly we all, have the dark features. So it's cool to all be on a panel of similarly tan women.
Well, I purposely did put this panel together because I thought the four of you would be great friends. So I hope that after the show, you guys definitely reconnect. And Andrea is traveling a lot, so she'll probably be in New York here and there. So the three of you guys should all go out. She loves wine, so you guys should go out and have glass of wine with Andrea. So.
Perfect.
We have
Sounds
some-
like a date.
Stay in common, yes.
So
Perfect.
for myself, Paul, the host of the Total Focus podcast for episode 100. My co-hosts, Adriana, Andrea, and Marissa, I give you a fond farewell, and I would also thank my listeners for listening to my 100 episodes. Continue to like, subscribe, giving thumbs up. Don't forget, we also have my movie review show with my other friend and co-host, Ivan Carlos, where we talk about movies. We just have a good time, and we just have great banter. And as always, please stay